Constructing your life is about much more than just building a bank account. Each week, join real estate entrepreneur and mindset coach Austin Linney as he interviews guests who are constructing their dream lives and impacting the world around them on a daily basis. If you're an entrepreneur or wanting to start a business, or you just want to hear motivating stories of how others have overcome the odds, you are in the right place. And now for your host, Austin Linney.
Hello, guys. Welcome. This is Austin Linney. I had all these plans. I had all these guests for my 500 episode, but for whatever reason, they had to reschedule or they couldn't fit it in their time schedule. So I decided to record one for yourself. 500 episodes. Whew. Yowzers. It's been a lot. I guess it's the amount of gratitude I have for the podcast, the amount of people who have come on to share their stories. They've shared, not always the best moments, but they've shared, they've opened up, they've let people into their world, they've inspired, but more importantly, they gave their time. The same way that you give your time to listen, to take time out. There's a million podcasts out there. So I just wanted to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. Now that we got that crap out of the way, just kidding. What do I want to talk about? I want to talk about what I've learned. I want to talk about what I will continue to do. I want to talk about what it's meant to me, the podcast. I had a friend. I have a really good friend. His name is Andreas. And he said something to me that he's somewhere around 40 to 50 episodes. I don't remember. And he said, hey, man, I've never done a podcast before. And my grandmother listened to it. And, he said, that's kind of amazing. She thinks I'm famous. But he said, if something were forever to happen to me, my son would have a recollection, a recording of my life. And I got a little emotional and I was like, but this is just a podcast. Yeah, it's just a podcast to me. Just a podcast to that person over there. But it's a story. It's somebody's life that they can look back on and they can say, I was there in that moment. And that's when the podcast took on a bigger meaning to me. And I'm going to let you in behind the scenes of a lot of things that you probably have never heard in the podcast, or maybe you have, I don't really know. So why did I start it? Well, I had wanted to do it for, 2 to 3 years, and I just didn't find the time or the need, or couldn't find the motivation. And I went to a real estate conference called the Best Conference Ever. And everybody, there was like 700 people there, and everybody that they spoke to had a podcast. Everybody that was networking with anybody that was standing in line waiting to talk to them had a podcast. I said, gotta have a podcast. That's the game. And so I'm texting while I'm at the thing, like names. We're trying to come up with names. I wanted it to be broad. We're kind of going back and forth, and we kind of landed on construct your life. How to build a lifestyle, not a bank account. Because that's what it's about. It's about creating a lifestyle that you want to lead that's going to create wins in your life for you and you alone. And as I coach people and as I talk to the podcast and as I've talked to, 500 plus people, and as I've been on 200 plus podcasts, there's still going to be more, and so many more episodes. Ultimately, what it comes down to is being yourself, loving yourself for who you are, knowing there's no difference in good and bads, and just starting. And that's what I did when I started the podcast. That's what I proceeded to do. I flew home. We came up with the name. Somebody made a $5 logo, and we went to run. I didn't care about the lights. I didn't care about all this stuff. And we just started. And we just recorded. And we recorded. And we recorded. And at the beginning, I was doing 9 episodes. I got laid off. It was COVID. I didn't have anything to do, so I was just interviewing anybody I could interview. And I've interviewed, billionaires. I've interviewed top athletes. I've interviewed single moms. I've interviewed, recovery people. I've interviewed people all different walks of life. And the one common thread I've found in the highest achievers is they're forever curious. They never feel like they have it all figured out. They never figure out that they have, they know all the answers. They're always learning. They're always writing. Top level Hall of Fame players, mindset coaches, billionaires, they're always curious. The people that have seen it, that episode in Ted Lasso when he's playing darts, and just said, be curious. That moment in time is kind of what I live by. I'm always looking to hear somebody else's story. I'm always interested to hear another way it's done. And I think if you can wake up every day and you can understand that every day is an opportunity to be inspired. Every day is an opportunity for you to move closer to what you need to be inspired, to love, to create, to push 1% better every day. The key to this podcast is consistency. And I'll be 100% frank. The last half of the year, 6 months, 8 months, I haven't been inspired. It's not that I've been upset with the podcast. It's that it's a lot of work and it asks a lot out of me. And I had a lot of personal stuff going on in business that didn't make it easy to record. It didn't make it easy to be vulnerable when I'm getting annihilated in business. I let my health slip a little bit. Nothing crazy, but just not as consistent as I wanted to be. Not as aggressive as I wanted to be. And I kept waiting for it to click back in. I kept waiting for it to go to the next level. And I realized that my intensity wasn't enough. And ever since I switched the narrative and I ratcheted up my intensity, I broke through that ceiling. And that's my hope to you. My hope is that you can hear somebody's words and they can inspire you. You can hear somebody's story and you say, you know what? I can do that too. Because the only way that you could see that in somebody is if you already didn't have it in yourself. The only way that you could see those traits in somebody else if they didn't have it in yourself. There are a million people to listen to. And there are all the people, the YouTube channels and the podcasts and the books and the TV shows and everything that you can be inspired by. But the person that you need to be inspired by the most is yourself. The person that you need to get to know is yourself. The person that has the most for you is yourself. I interviewed a guy today, just so happens, who went to prison, all sorts of bad stuff, changed his life around, 100 plus units, millionaire, blah, blah, blah. He said, I spent my whole life looking for things outside of myself. And the moment that I took it in, the moment that I took the blame on here and I understood that I was in charge of what I needed to do, was the moment that my life changed. You hear me rant and rave, and you hear me say the same thing over and over again, but do you listen? Do you take it in? Do you embody it? Or do you kind of just want to get better? What you can do instead is you can let the distractions be what they are, distractions. and you can clear out your world. You can create a vision for yourself greater than you could even imagine by taking the opportunity to get clear on it is what you want. All the people that I've had on the podcast, they've set a goal and they ruthlessly went after it. Whether that was getting sober, buying a new car, living in an RV, traveling the country, whatever it is they did. I'm giving you the permission right now to do those things. Are you going to look back on your life and are you going to regret the time that you took the trip? No, you're not. Are you going to regret the time that you tried to start a business? No, you're not. Are you going to regret the time that you asked out that person that you wanted to ask out? I'm here and I'm willing to invest the money and I'm willing to speak and interview people and put the time that it takes in because I care about something greater than myself. I care about something higher than myself. I care about you, the listener. Do you care about yourself? This can't be a one-way street here. This can't be me the only one trying. It can't be me the only one that's doing the thing. We have to be in this together. And you have to take the inspiration from the guest and from the words, and you have to put them into your body, in your ears, and you have to move forward. And you have to tell yourself that I refuse to let this year be like the last year. One of the great things that I do for my employees, and it's super important, I want you to think about this in the context of life. I never give anybody a job. What does that mean? I give them an opportunity. If I gave them a job, I would have expectations of them. If I gave them an opportunity, well, then they have to earn that every day. And then I have no expectations of them. Life is not giving you a job, it's giving you an opportunity. And you have a choice every day to show up for that. You have a choice to show up into your life and get 1% better every day. But that's on you. And nobody cares about your complaints and your excuses. Nobody. So I hope that you can go back and you can revisit some of your favorite ones and you can be inspired by them and you can be inspired by the ones moving forward because we will continue to put out episodes. And I want everybody to know that I can't do this without my team. I can't do it with the people that were done before me. I can't do it without the listeners. I can't do it with the guests. So Chris Jacoby, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. My first producer, the guy I was texting when I was at the thing that said, let's do this thing. And he took me through the first 100 plus. And I'm crazy. And our systems were shit. And it was terrible. I don't even know what was going on, but we made it happen. Thank you. Demetrius, D, who held the candle there for quite a while, started working for me for free. Came in, stepped in, didn't even really want to do it, wasn't his thing, but did it well. Built out some systems, put up with me. I'm hard to deal with, especially as I'm growing, especially as I'm trying to get sober. I've watched you blossom. I've watched you become who you were. to be owner of a company, and I've watched you move across the country. And man, you fucking inspire me, dude. Thank you. And oh, Mark Picard. Oh, Mark Picard. Thank you. Your insights, your expertise, when you took the reins of this baby last year and you let D go do his thing, you've owned it. Your compassion, your hard-nosed, your attitude, not putting up with my shit, only wanting the best for this podcast is going to take it on for the next couple years. And you've grabbed the baton and it's exploded. The podcast has exploded and it's going to continue to get better. And I just praise every day that I get to work with somebody as talented as you. So thank you. To every one of the listeners that have taken one moment, 1 second out of their day. I do this for y'all. And when you send me a text or you send me a thing saying, hell yeah, man, this podcast changed me, this episode changed me, that's all, that's my currency, that's my fuel. That's how I can keep investing in this, in this. And to every guest that's come on and shared their story, some multiple times, taking time out to share their story with me. Bless you. Thank you. Thank you so much. You have no idea what those stories have done for other people. You have no idea how much lives you've impacted, even if they haven't reached out to you. And so from the bottom of my heart, thank you, each and every one of you that listens to my podcast. I was just a guy starting with an idea to do 500 podcasts. I don't even know what to think right now. I'm emotional. It's ridiculous. I was thinking about it this morning. It's amazing. It's ridiculous. I'm just blown away. So thank you. And I hope that you continue to listen. I hope that you continue to share this with a friend. And I hope that we see you soon on the next episode. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you so much.